I don't know if I'm going to sit here and smile until it gets awkward. But South Africa just beat India at home. And it's one of those series that, no, I didn't expect a win. I expected a draw. To be fair, I did think we would win at least one game. But what we saw from South Africa, I think we need to celebrate. We need to, as a fan base, as a cricket fan base, I think we all need to celebrate because I think the performance that we saw as a unit over here, a team performance, I think was outstanding. Well, not necessarily always with a bat, but they did their jobs when they did enough for us to get over the line at least. But we always were waiting. As South African fans, we were always waiting for that one person to stand up. And we always say that in Test cricket, a lot of the time, that's what it has been recent times. It's one person steps up and can win you a series. And in South Africa's case, from a batting perspective, that's exactly what happened almost. Like KP Peterson keep KP or Keegan Peterson, as you call him, putting on a phenomenal performance with the bat. There's an interesting comment that I saw on Facebook actually when I look at it. I want to read it out to you first because it kind of sums up everything perfectly. So this was from Dirshan Gobind on Twitter. On Facebook. And he said, let's get this straight. SA hadn't played a test match in ages. SA ranked number 6 while India ranked number 1. India had the superior batting lineup. India had more experienced bowlers. SA debuted a 21-year-old. SA Dangerman Nokia injured. De Kock suddenly retires. SA demolished in first test. Markram has his worst ever series. India won all 3 tosses. India scored more centuries, but SA still win 2-1. To preserve their home test record against India, watching this team since 1992, and this is by far one of our best ever wins. Overwhelming. Now I have to agree. And I have to say that this is one of our best ever wins, I feel, with the situation that we are in currently. Because South Africa were not looking strong. I was very worried going into this particular series. And South Africa came up on top. So we're going to discuss it on today's show. There's a lot to get through. It is a fan calling, so you guys can get involved. The link is in the description and pinned to the top of this live chat for you guys to have an opportunity to have your say. Are going to have a panel as well. So we're going to discuss this in depth because there's a lot to get through, guys, because I feel that this is one of the best series that I've witnessed, to be honest. One of the best series I've witnessed. I mean, this is better than the one in 2018 for me by far, I feel. I think that the situation that we were in compared to India, it's almost like 2 polar opposite teams facing each other. It was David versus Goliath, and David versus Goliath, and David definitely came out on top. So let's get into this. Let's get into the discussion. I hope you guys are good. The final show for the week. Before we get that Sunday podcast show. So hoping you guys will enjoy this show, of course, and that we give you enough information that will make you guys sit and be entertained, because we waited a very long time for this particular preview show. We brought you a quick update or a wrap earlier on in the day. You guys can go check that out on the channel. It's an exclusive interview. But I was hoping that this one would be the one that you guys were waiting for and have been waiting for the entire day. So we're coming to you live at 6 in South African Standard Time. And I hope you guys enjoy. So let's get straight into today's content. But first and foremost, you have to subscribe to Cricket Fanatics Magazine Monthly. The link is in the description. Every issue 100% free, as well as subscribe to this channel. That's also free. Click the notification bell too and smash the like button. Let's get straight into today's content, guys. I'm excited about this one. I hope you guys are too. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your review show. I'm your host, Khalid Moedin, a very tired Khalid Moedin. Thanks. Yeah, Ditya's with me, Verna's with me, Aaron's with me. was a long day of work, a long day of cricket. When the game ends early, you actually have a lot more work to do than when it ends normal time. Let's get that straight, because you've got press conferences. Obviously, I didn't attend that. Did you attend the press conference from a South African point of view? But there was a lot of post-match stuff to post, and there's a lot of conversations happening in the press box. You're talking to different people, getting different views, etc. So it's very busy. It's very hot in South Africa and Cape Town specifically. I can't talk about around South Africa here. Like, we played in three different videos in one day. But it's hot in Cape Town. Very hot in Cape Town. It's been hot at Newlands. It almost feels like the temperature like skyrockets within the stadium itself. Like, it's almost like it's double than outside, because we don't get as much wind where we are walking. I think in the middle it spirals at Newlands, but if you're standing in the stands or you're sitting in one of those rooms, like the media box at Newlands is closed, so it's a glass enclosure basically, compared to the Wanderers and Centurion, which has an open section, so the wind passes through at the Wanderers and at Centurion, whereas in Newlands, if the aircon's not working properly, um, it can get quite heated. And if you're sitting in some of the boxes or you're sitting in some of the suites, it gets really, really hot. The higher up you go, the hotter it gets. So it is quite hectic. But let's get into this one, guys. Really excited about this one. Aditya, should we start with you? Okay, let's start with you. Let's get it out of the way so that we can get a more discussion of South Africa later on in the show. I mean, you're sitting proudly with your India top on. I love that. Just give me your feelings of this particular series so far. What are the learnings you've taken out of this particular series?
Well, first off, congratulations to South Africa. They were they were deserving winners, and bat ball in the field outplayed India completely throughout throughout the course of this series. They did lose the first Test match, and to come back from that and to, I think, dominate in Johannesburg and Cape Town was a phenomenal effort. So congratulations. I think Dean Elgar's words to the team after the first Test match certainly started a fire in their belly, and they put up a real collective team performance. And often with Test cricket, we talk about the basics of the game. You know, with the bat, you want to play for time. You want to make sure that you're disciplined, don't lose wickets in clusters. I thought South Africa did all of those things really well. And with the ball, again, after that first Test match, there was an increase in pace. They were bowling more uncomfortable lengths, and everyone contributed. KG was fantastic with the ball. Lungi was brilliant. Marco Jansen in his debut series was outstanding. So it was a complete effort, and South Africa deserve all the credit for that. As an Indian fan, well, it's a bitter pill to swallow, because coming in, looking at what India have achieved over the last couple of years in Test cricket, and just a year ago we beat Australia in Australia, England in England, and we haven't lost a home series since 2012. So I thought our Test team was in really good shape, um, and I did predict a 3-0 victory for India. But I guess it's cricket. The better team won. In saying that, obviously there's a lot of soul searching for the Indian team to do, because, um, well, first of all, if number three and number five don't perform for as long as they haven't, then it's probably time to look elsewhere. And if India is playing with that 6-5 balance, then they need more runs from 7 and 8, which is Ashwin and Shardul Thakur, which they basically haven't got, consistently through the series. And the other thing is, just because we're talking about batting, if you look at you look at India's performance through the course of this series, there's basically been a batting collapse every single time they've batted. You have 6 innings. Even the first one, they made 327, but they were 272 for three to 327 all out. So for that game, it was a match-winning performance. But basically, it's been one batting collapse after the other for India, and that certainly doesn't bode well. That's not going to win you games overseas. From a bowling point of view, I think um, Ashwin didn't have much work to do through the course of this series. So in a five bowler attack, you're basically relying on your other four, and then off them, Shardul Thakur is going to bowl at 130, 135, basically relying on Bumrah and Shami to do most of the work. And you have Mohammad Siraj getting injured in the middle of a test match, and then Umesh Yadav comes and replaces him. It simply didn't work out. Like I just feel like it. Um, India was an incomplete team uh, through the course of this series, and the better team certainly won. So congratulations to South Africa.
Now, Werner, I'm coming to you next. There's, I mean, I'm super, super delighted about this win. Like, what a series as a whole, not even this test match. Every single test match was like an amazing contest between two teams. And yeah, the opening test was a big disappointment. And if you look at it and you look back of it, maybe 2 years from 10 years from now, we'll probably be sitting here and saying, like, South Africa lost to India in the first test, first time ever at Centurion. Then they beat India the first time ever at the Wanderers. And then they pull off a magnificent victory at Newlands and keeping themselves unbeaten. And this is the thing. Like this why this is so phenomenal is because you have to look at the teams that are playing each other and where they are currently. And for me, South Africa are currently trying to still search for that, that team that is complete, that we can 100% say we are happy with 10 out of 11, because we'll never be happy. I don't think anybody in South Africa will ever be happy with a team selection. But let's just say 10 out of 11 players we'll probably be happy with. And this time around, there's a lot of still discussions about certain positions, the opening position, the opening partnership people have been talking about. They're talking about the number 4, number 3 position. Number 3 position is solid for me. Number 4, they've been talking about. I mean, before the series, we were having questions about the number 3 position, whether KP is the right person or he should be dropped down the order. The number 6 positions now up for grabs in a way, you could say, although Calvin Reyners now needs to get an extended run, maybe. Some people would say, I would say that definitely. But Marco Jansen, a 21-year-old. So we are completely in the opposite party when it comes to our support system from a fan's perspective. We sitting here, and all of us were hopeful, that we would get a draw after this particular series, after the first test especially. But to pull off this win in the manner that they did, I feel that it took courage, because there's better teams that have drawn series against India in the past. So like it's phenomenal that this team could pull off a 2-1 victory the way they did, and to have a relatively new guy in the setup be the man of the series and the man of the match. I mean, just fantastic.
Yeah, yeah, no, it is remarkable. I think it's a great achievement, and I think they can all be proud of themselves as we are proud of them. I think great congratulations to Mark Boucher as well. He gets a lot of stick. He's got a lot of criticism, but I think you need to just applaud him as well. You could see that type of fighting spirit came through him and through Algar. It like seeped into the team. You could see it from every individual. I think that's the main thing. I could see we were really playing as a unit. It wasn't here and there. Even though there's a standout performance from Peterson and there's a standout performance in Janssen, and KG led well, you could see everybody bringing their part. Even Markram, who made no runs, you could see him animated in the field. He kept the spirits of the bowlers up. He took great catches. So I think it was a real team effort, and it is major. I was talking about it today, just the fact that we were able to come back from 1-0 down against the number 1 side in the world with a batting lineup that we all thought might not be able to pull it through. And I think that's another thing. I don't know why we wait until the second innings to finally show up with the bat. Why do we need to have a really poor first batting innings? Have everybody sulking and think, what are we doing? Our batting sucks. And then the second innings, we decide, no, let's chase down over 200 with 7 wickets remaining. I mean, why can't we be 200 with 7 wickets remaining in the first innings and set ourselves up better to have a good test match and to lead from the front? Why do we always need to have to fight to come back and try and win games? We need to start playing on the front foot, I feel. I think that's probably the next step for us. We can't always be playing catch up. And I think heading into the series in the first place, I said beforehand that I was worried about the series, not just because we weren't very experienced, but because of our lack of test matches. Right? We had only played, the last time was in June against the West Indies, and I said we were coming in very rusty. We basically had no warm-up games. We had no 4-day games apart from Algar, and Van Mulder played a few 4-day games. And Janssen, he played the SAA series, but before that, we didn't even knew he was going to play in this series. So I think going into it, I was very skeptical about how it was going to go, especially the first match. And you saw that rustiness in the first match. That first day, you could see it. The bowlers had no overs under their belts. We looked lackluster. India made easy runs on a slow deck on the first day on Centurion. And that's also a great point to make. The fact that we also lost all 3 tosses. In places where you felt like you wanted to bat first because it wouldn't become easier to bat on, especially somewhere like Centurion where it always starts slow and you want to bat first because you know the bounce becomes more uneven as the day goes on. So I think it's really a major feather in our hats that we were able to take the series having lost all the tosses, having all the inexperience that we do have, and then for the youngsters who basically have no experience. Kieger Peterson had 2 matches in the West Indies. Janssen had no matches going into this. Janssen took the second most wickets. He had an average of 16. He made some runs with the bat. Peterson is man of the series, well deserved. I called this morning. I said, this man, if we win today, he needs to be man of the series and man of the match, and he was. And that's fantastic. And I think more than anything, we will take so much confidence from this. It really is a confidence booster. We are not the complete article. We still have lots of questions in our batting. We still have questions about Markram, about Rassi. I was still a bit frustrated with Rassi today, even though he did well. He saw us through no problem with wickets. It was so frustrating to see him going to him in shell after Peterson went out. I felt like he needed to take over, try to be positive. That period after Babuma came in, it was like 5 overs. We made like 7 runs. He was leaving short and wide balls that he could have cut for 4 with no player out on the boundary. Half volleys he was blocking. I felt like, no, you've just regressed from where you were in the second innings at the Wanderers. You saw what worked at the Wanderers. Why would you then revert back to that defensive approach, pile up pressure against yourself? Because the moment you do that, the bowlers can just hit the spot. And you know there's enough movement in this pitch to maybe get your wicket. It didn't end up being that way, but it could have easily happened. So I still think there's a lot he needs to take from this. It's a lot that still needs to be worked on. But I think as a team overall, very happy. Obviously, our bowlers, great. On wickets, it did a lot. So we'll still see how they will go on pitches with less movement, less bounce. That'll probably be a better test of where Janssen is as a bowler. Obviously, still young into it, but great way he took it on. You could see him learn from every innings to innings. He improved. He got a lot more patient with his areas that he delivered, and that's a big thing in international cricket, right? In domestic cricket, you can go for those glory balls. You go for that Yorkers, go for that whatever it might be. You might pick up wickets, but you don't get punished on your poor balls. But in international cricket, any poor ball, it hits to the boundary. So the fact that he learned from it very quickly, and he started off with a 12-run over in his first game, and look where he is now. 12 runs of your first over of international cricket. Now you're at the end of a 3-match series, being the debutant with the most wickets in a series ever for South Africa since readmission, right? 19 wickets. That's Janssen. So that's great for him. Great to have that variation. I think just how potent this attack will be with Nortje coming back in place of Willifeer. You'll have Rabada, Ngidi, Willifeer, Janssen. That is pretty potent, I will say, even if you have a flat deck, because then Nortje will ramp up the pace. Janssen can get that bounce. You'll probably get the bounce out of most wickets. Maybe not that type of trampoline bounce you get here, but you'll probably be able to still extract bounce from his height. So it is definitely good prospects out there. I think Verena definitely has some things to work on with his foot movements. But the thing is, he only had 2 innings to bat in the series because he had the first innings at the Wanderers, then he wasn't needed in the second innings. Then he had the first innings here, and he wasn't needed in the second innings. So it's not like he's had a lot of opportunities to rectify that. So he obviously needs his opportunities to do that, and he'll learn as well. I think going into that New Zealand series next month, it'll be good to see where we are as a team and what we have taken from this series and learned. Hopefully, we've learned to start better. Obviously, it's better now with some match practice. I think we'll be better for the next 2 Test series because it's not 6 months out. It's 1 month. It's ODI series, then going to the New Zealand series. Then it's ODI series versus Bangladesh, then a Test series versus Bangladesh. So I think we'll probably be better for it. And yeah, we'll see if somebody new comes in for Markram or if they decide to give him another opportunity. I don't know how it's going to go. But either way, I feel pretty chuffed as I sit here. I felt very grateful the way we played today, the way we didn't continuously lose wickets and at us at the edge of our seats, because I know how it gets with us. We get so nervous in this moment. So I think it was big not taking that responsibility, and a big shout out to someone who might not be mentioned a lot, Temba Bavuma. I feel Temba Bavuma has been great in the series. He might not get all the accolades. He didn't get 100. He wasn't the leading run scorer. He didn't make what you would say the match-winning knocks, but he made constant scores. He had an average of 74 in this series. The lowest score he got out for was a 28. The other 2 times he wasn't out. The other time he went out, he already passed 50. So it was a magnificent series for him. I thought he was solid. Almost as Peterson was solid, I felt Bavuma was solid as well. I thought he showed a lot of maturity. He took that responsibility with Quinton being away, with our middle order not having a lot of experience. I thought he really stepped up when we needed him. It was probably the best I've seen of Temba. So yeah, sorry for, I know it was a long speech, but I wanted to cover as much as I can.
You deserve that because you've had a couple of issues with your internet lately, and you didn't get to say what you wanted to say. So I like it when you guys do go on a rant and have a lot to say. Before you go on your rant, Aaron, I've got a couple of stats that I just want to throw at the fans and yourself. The 55 wickets came through catches, the most ever in any Test series by one team. The 20 in this third Test match alone was the most in Test history. Marco Janssen's 19 wickets in the debut series are the most by a South African since readmission. Pant became the first Asian wicketkeeper to hit a century in all of England, Australia, and South Africa. Dean Elgar has scored the second most runs, 526 in the fourth innings of a Test since 2018. Kusal Mendes is the most with 578 runs. India losing the series after winning the first Test is rare. It happened following the following times: versus England in 1984-85 at home, versus South Africa in 2006 and 7 away, versus England 2012-13 home, and versus South Africa 2021-22 away. Aaron, your thoughts?
Well, first and foremost, congratulations to the Proteas. This has been an absolutely monumental Test series victory. Commiserations to India as well. But what a gripping, enthralling, and compelling Test series this has been. Obviously, I'm an England fan. I've had to suffer through the Ashes for the past month. This really has been a welcome relief. 2 evenly competitive sides going at it on good surfaces. It has been absolutely breathtaking as a Test cricket fan. And if you have watched this series and you have not been on the edge of your seat, you haven't been excited, you haven't been waking up every single morning with that extra pep in your step, cricket's not the game for you, because this has been a remarkable series. I've absolutely loved every single minute of it. Now, just to build off of those stats, Khalid, it's interesting you mentioned about the catches. That, to me, comes back to that current theme, which I mentioned quite a few times in this series, application. And surprisingly, in this series, India did not show any at all. I was really, really disappointed with their batting performances. And if you look at the strike rates, they're well up there. The majority of India's batsmen are striking at 50, 60, even 80 plus. But the averages are so low. There were so many avoidable wickets. And don't get me wrong, Janssen, superb. We've already mentioned about Marco Janssen. I think he's going to have a county cricket deal as well for this summer. So keep an eye out for that. That'll be very interesting to see how he develops. here in England and Wales. But honestly, the amount of times India were in a good position, they threw away 1 or 2 wickets and it just changed the game. And that is something that Rahul Dravid, something that Virat Kohli will be looking at under the microscope heading in to the next few series. And then in terms of South Africa, you mentioned it right at the start of the show, Khalid, all of those external factors. Remember, there's no fans in here. You lost all of the tosses. Quinton de Kock retiring from Test cricket after the first one. How on earth have they pulled this off? This is absolutely remarkable. The 6th ranked team in the world has beat the number 1 ranked team, a team which has travelled well. Aditya mentioned it beforehand. They've beaten Australia in Australia. They're currently 2-1 against England, although I do fancy England to beat them at Edgbaston. I'll be there for that one this summer. But honestly, this is a really good touring India side. But I think that this series has exposed a little bit of a flaw in their current setup, and that is the batting, in particular the middle order and the middle to lower order. You cannot always rely on the likes of Rohit Sharma, KL Rahul, Virat Kohli, Rishabh Pant to dig you out of a hole. Pujara, Rahane, they were desperately needed in this series and unfortunately just have not delivered. And to be honest, the same can be said about Ravichandran Ashwin and Shardul Thakur as well. I mean, not many runs at all. I think Shardul averaged 9.8 in this series. If you're going to be in there as the all-rounder, I know India don't have Hardik Pandya at their disposal, but if that is going to be your role, you can't be averaging 9.8. I mean, just look how harsh we've been on VR Mulder. He's averaging 16. So that says a lot with regards to improvements needed in that area. But honestly, all of that aside, let's not take that away from just how magnificent South Africa have been. I'm not going to compare it directly to India's performance in Australia, the Border Gavaskar Trophy Series. I think everyone knows how memorable that was, but this really could be a solid foundation to go on and really bring South Africa back to the forefront of Test cricket. It's exciting times. You know, for the first time in ages, I'm an England fan, obviously, and I think South Africa, you're going to give us a good run for our money in this year's series in England. But honestly, you've got the building blocks in place. If you can just sort out those little bits and pieces, we know about the opening batsman position. I think Saril Erveya is my particular choice for that. Maybe you can move Aidan Markham down to 4 and balance it like that. But Werner, you mentioned it there. Nortje, Rabada, he needs to work on his no balls. Again, if I'm being overly critical, he does need to work on that. He needs more discipline in that regard. But Nortje, Rabada, Marco Jansen providing the left arm option, Lungyen Gidi. And again, in spin favourable conditions, England, it will turn a bit. You've got Keshav Maharaj. What a bowling attack that is. If the batting lineup can perform, if they can lay a foundation in the first innings, which is something which South Africa, again, need to work on, it's got the makings of a really exciting team. You know, for the first time in ages, there's some optimism, there's some hope, and this series could be absolutely massive. This could be a pivotal point in recent South African Test cricket history. So I'm absolutely delighted for you guys. You know, I was thinking about it all day long. I know you'd be absolutely elated over this Test series. It's been tough the last few years in South Africa. I know that 2020 still cuts deep, losing 3-1 to England. And you know what, in hindsight, that is a very, very good victory for the Three Lions and a Crown. I think we're actually the only team to have beaten South Africa in South Africa since 2013-14 when Australia did it. So they've got a pretty good record at home. Let's
Sri
just
Lanka
say
beat
that.
us in between.
Did they?
Sri Lanka beat us. Yeah.
2-0.
You're kidding. Well, hey, we still beat the most recent. I forgot about that series. You're
Yeah,
right.
we didn't really want to talk about that series.
Don't talk about that series, please.
I say no. Of course, we're not going to bring that up. But honestly, well done to South Africa. Absolutely fantastic. And yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed, this is the start of some very, very good things to come for the Proteas.
Okay. So, guys, that's our summaries. It's time for the fans to call in. I'm going to be opening the lines right now for everybody. Let's get the first caller on the line. Is Ikram. He's been waiting since the beginning of the show, really. So, welcome to the show, Ikram. Do you want to have your say, and what would you like to say?
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to say this is a very memorable victory for South Africa. Like in the last 4 years, they have played really well, And Tema Bavuma has been really consistent this series. We have never seen this from him before. And Keegan Peterson and Marco Janssen have performed. It's great to see them perform in such a manner. And yeah, also
What did you like?
India. Excuse me.
Sorry. No, continue.
Yeah, I was saying that like although India played well, they still need to like improve on their middle order. And I think they already realized their mistakes regarding that. So I think going into their next test series, I think that's against Sri Lanka at home, they might make some changes in the middle order to be particular. But they really bowled well.
I want to ask you about South Africa quickly, and
Yes.
if they, for me, there are still some areas to improve. For you personally, where do you think the areas are that we need to improve as a unit to build on this win?
From what I get to see is we need to improve in two categories. One is the opening, and two is a fast bowling all rounder. With the opening, Adrian Markram needs to improve. At least we need to give him an opportunity to at least another two series, the New Zealand and Bangladesh series. We need to give them opportunity for those two series. If they do not perform, then I think we need to get Sarel Ervia into the team. And for all rounder, if there's like another replacement for Wian Mulder, I think it's better to replace him.
Okay, cool. Thanks a lot, Ikram, for coming on. You're busy,
Yes,
man,
you're
getting
welcome.
calls over here. So
Yeah,
thanks a lot for
sorry
coming on the
about
show.
that.
Please
Okay,
try and
thank you.
call in again in the future as well. We would
Yeah,
like to hear what you have to say again.
okay, thank you. Bye.
Cool. Cheers, bro. Bye.
That
Okay,
was
guys.
Victor selecting him for the New Zealand series. Carry on.
Good point there. Okay, anybody want to weigh in on what Ikram had to say before we bring on our next caller?
Well, in fact, I do just want to ask this question to both Aditya and Ashwani. I know Ashwani's been waiting patiently. We need to get him on soon. But in terms of where India go from here, we've mentioned about South Africa's different personnel. We've explored the different options in the top four. Cheteshwar Pujara and Ajinkya Rahane, it is the question on everyone's lips. Is this their last test series for India? So, again, I think we'll ask this first to Ashwani, only because it's fair. He has been waiting for a long time. But who comes in for those two players if you are to, omit them from the 11?
Hi, Khalid. And first of all, congratulations for South Africa. Utterly disappointed and happy for South African cricket because with this series, I think this will help them to rebuild and come out of the administration turmoil which is happening from the past 6 to 7 years. I think India lost the opportunity to win the series in South Africa. If you compared both the sides, I think India is slightly stronger side, but I think South Africa played really well. I would like to compare Dean Elgar with Alan Border. How Alan Border cope up with that Australian side in 1980s to make them to the world champions. I will compare. I will put him into this category. But I think there's one danger South Africa has always looming. I think which they have to be care about it. That is administration malpractice. I think if they will care it, I think South Africa will go to the number one status again. Coming to Aaron's question, I think India is very unfortunate because in the past 2 years, because of the COVID, India don't have first class cricket, and India is the I think only cricketing country in the world which don't have first class cricket due to COVID. So I think it
I
is
never knew
very
that.
difficult. Yeah, it is
Yeah,
very
I
difficult
never knew
for
that. Yeah.
select. Yeah. It is very difficult for them to select the players, so they don't know who is the best choice option after Pujara and Rane. So they pick the players who played internationally, like Shubman Gill, Shreyas Iyer, or even Surya Kumar Yadav, because they played international cricket. So they pick players from that. So they don't know who is their middle order option, and India is lacking that band. South Africa has edge in that regard. Their domestic cricket is going on, and so they pick the players from that area. Uh, which player is in the form, which player is out of the form. So South Africa is that regard is very lucky. India is that regard very unlucky. So I think I hope this year domestic cricket will goes on. So we saw which is the upcoming player who can take this position for the upcoming Sri Lanka tour. I think there is a chances that selectors might pick them again, or they will pick the same choice of players which we already know. Maybe Gill, Vihari, they will come in the four because we don't know who is the other middle order option regarding them. India has a lot of issues in Test cricket, especially in middle order batting, because they don't have the replacements for them. In the opening, they have lot more replacements like of Abhimanyu Ishwaran, Priyank Panchal, and Prithvi Shaw is waiting in the wings. So in that area, opening you can say that India has lot more options. In middle order they are lack of option. And one thing which I stressed again, India need to find some tall fast bowlers, and which we saw in this test, because you see the bounce that Ngidi, Olivier, and Rabada gets. It is impossible for our Indian fast bowlers, though they are very skillful. I don't do any body shaming or height shaming, but I think India need to fight some tall fast bowlers in the future, and they have in their ranks. I think Prasidh Krishna is there, Ishan Poral is there, who is around 6'3". Prasidh Krishna is 6 foot 2 inches tall. Avesh Khan, he is above 6 feet. So they India have in their ranks. I think in the future you will see them for playing. And one bowler I will mention you, which many of not heard his name. I think his name is Kartik Tyagi. He's playing in the IPL. He is exception. And one left armer. I think many of us you not heard his name. His name is Saurav Dubey. He playing for India Emerging. He is around 6 feet 5 inches tall, and he's the product in the making. I think in future you can see him playing for India A or India Emerging. He's long way from Indian team, but I think he has the potential to be in the Indian side. And my last point for South African team is, I think South Africa is my second most favorite team after India. Followed South Africa from 2000s, and very happy from heart that South Africa is again, you can say that winning the matches, and hope they will consistently doing it. And um, in coming we see more stars coming from South Africa.
Interesting points, Shashwani. I enjoyed that. I want to ask you though, besides what you said about South Africa, I mean, there's KG now is going to have another boat, basically almost. I feel he needs to keep up this momentum and this rhythm, heading into the New Zealand series. I think on a New Zealand wicket, he's going to look phenomenal. But KG, do you think it's 100% up? Because I mean, he's the top wicket taker in this particular series now. He just got better and better and better as the games went along. Why do you think that's the case?
Sorry, again repeat the question.
Why do you think that it's the case that KG continued to get better and better as the series went along?
I think KG is always the quality bowler. It's the amount of matches he played from his young age. I think there's a time when matlab, you due to the niggles, your sting is lost a little bit. I think he found his mojo again, and we see different KG now onwards. And one thing I also mentioned, that South Africa should not drop Dwayne Oliver, because I think in New Zealand condition he will be your most effective bowler. It's a wrong move if you drop Dwayne Oliver. And one thing I also South Africa should include one or two extra batters in the form of David Bedingham, who scored brilliantly in South Africa's domestic cricket. South Africa should look at him. And other guys you already know, like Peter Milan, Tony De Zorzi, they are the domestic performers. So I think South Africa should look at them.
Okay, awesome, Ashwani. We're going to talk about your points right now. Thanks for calling in. We know that you're going to call in again in the future, so see you very, very, very soon. Chat to you soon, bro. Enjoy your weekend. Okay. Anybody want to weigh in, Aditya? Oh,
Can I
wait, Aaron. No. Next. Wait first. Aditya first.
Um, sorry about that. Look, Ashwani made some great points, and there's certainly a lot of merit to them. And he is right about there not being any 4-day domestic cricket in India over the last 2 years. Although there has been quite a lot of limited overs cricket. The Vijay Hazare Trophy was on, and Syed Mushtaq Ali was on. So I think um, all the sort of big run scorers and wicket takers in those tournaments have taken up the spotlight for the most part. But the India A setup has been pretty solid, over the last couple of years. And if you look at the players that have done well in that setup, they're going to be the ones who take up um, Pujara and Rahane's spots. So I think the players really waiting in the wings would be players who are effective on the front foot and the back foot, because as we've seen here, looking at the number of dismissals, South Africa took 55 wickets, and you look at the vast majority of them were catches behind the stumps, which tells you that there wasn't a lot of discipline in shot making, and players struggled. Another thing which I haven't really seen, perhaps in this generation of players, is that back in the day when I used to watch Sachin play in swinging conditions in England and South Africa, he used to bat considerably outside the crease to smother the swing. And apart from Kohli, apart from Kohli and Pant, I haven't really seen anyone else do that. So perhaps that's a technical change that players can make. But essentially, to succeed overseas, the players need to be good on the front foot and the back foot. And that's been lacking in the Indian team in this series, certainly.
Thank you, Mr. Murdine. No, to be fair, some very, very valid points there, Aditya. And I love the final point, actually, because that's something I mentioned about with Markram in this series. It's something he didn't do, and yet he did against Pakistan in that previous series. It's something which England did, funnily enough, against Pakistan and the West Indies in 2020. It can help you in swinging conditions. So maybe that's something which could be discussed in the South Africa camp heading into the New Zealand tour. It's interesting that Ashwani mentioned there about the lack of red ball cricket in India. For those who don't know, this year's Ranji Trophy has also been postponed. So that does not help. That is something which you do have to take into consideration. England have had the championship. You've got the 4-day series in South Africa, the Plunket Shield in New Zealand. So in a lot of different countries, you have got that talent pool. They're ready. They're, good to go. I suppose when you look at the A sides and the test teams, I'm really glad he mentioned David Beddingham, because he's someone who we haven't really mentioned in this series. And, you're going to New Zealand, we know exactly what tracks they are going to produce. They're going to be absolute green mambas.
Can I ask you about that, please, Aaron? Just
Go
on
on.
that New Zealand point, because you spoke about the domestic scene in New Zealand. How strong is it actually? Like,
Very.
Because I mean, they produce a hell of a lot. I mean, for them to produce a top quality team like they are, with the country's quite small, So South Africa, I feel, should actually maybe take pointers from New Zealand. I think if we look at India, we look at England, we look at Australia, and all of these other places. Shouldn't we maybe take a look at New Zealand and what they're doing right?
It's a tough one, because New Zealand, the reason why they are so successful, they have got one of the best elite player pathways on the planet. That's why they are so successful. And they do have the green seamers. That's something which people are beginning to discuss. Should we be doing that a bit more? But then again, we have that in England, and look how we bat. So, it's all down to the individual. It's all down to, the country, whatever they think is going to get the best out of their cricketers. The key thing with David Beddingham, though, not only has he just performed recently in the 4-day series, but I think back to this summer, well, last summer now, it's 2022, David Beddingham was playing for Durham. Now, for those who don't watch county cricket, Durham is a notoriously difficult place to score big. It's a really tough track. Warwickshire, who ended up winning the championship, got bowled out for 96 runs at Chester Street. And David Bedingham scored over 1,000 runs in last year's county championship. He was absolutely exceptional. He's got good technique. When he gets in, he goes big. He could be someone that we see in a South Africa shirt, maybe at that number 4 position. I'm just going to put that out there. That wasn't an alternative option that I mentioned the other day, but it is something which South Africa could explore if they want to. So that's going to be interesting, and I'm really, really happy that Ashwani mentioned him, because he's a fantastic, fantastic talent. But the key thing here, when it comes to that New Zealand tour, we don't want this momentum to fizzle out. You've beaten India. This has been a memorable series, rightfully so. We'll celebrate it for a long time. But that New Zealand tour really is going to be a test of character for the South Africa side. We've mentioned already they're making good steps. They're making good progress. That against the World Test champions on incredibly tough, seaming, swinging tracks. If South Africa can pull that off, they really are contenders heading into the next few years.
Werner, I need you to answer here, because I would like to hear your thoughts on this, because that number 4 position, do you think it's an issue? Because for me, I was watching Rassie and I was saying it in the press box, and I was a bit worried that I was maybe talking out of turn, maybe, or maybe this letting my mouth run away with itself like it normally does. But I was in front of like top class journalists, and I'm saying stupid things. I don't really want to be saying stupid things in front of top class journalists. So I said that I kind of just blurted it out because I was watching Rassie, and for this entire series, I felt for quite some time in Test cricket, I've been feeling this way, is that I feel so uncertain and unsure about Rassie when he's at the crease. I don't get this same feeling like I get with Aiden Markram. So, for example, with Aiden, when he does score his 30s and then he does something stupid and goes out, at least I feel confident for that 30. You know, I think, oh, this is going to be the innings. But with Rassie, every delivery, I feel like he's going to go out. It's almost like I feel like uncertain, like I don't know what's going to happen. So it's like every ball I feel he's open to lose his wicket. So what's your thoughts on the number 4 position? Is it something we need to look at?
I wish. I only wish.
Firstly, I love how you describe yourself like Mr. Potato Head with your mouth running away from you. But in terms of that number 4 position, I believe we need somebody who plays with authority and with a good tempo in that position. I feel that is not a spot where you can get bogged down. I can understand you want an opener who's solid, who can bat you through the innings. We have that in Alga. I understand you want a number 3 who has good technique, doesn't play plenty of shots early on. We have that in Peterson, I feel. Number 4 and 5 positions, if you get a good platform, like we haven't had a good platform for a while now, but let's say we do. Let's say Arveer comes in, him and Algar and Peterson gives us a good platform. We need a guy who comes in and puts the opposition under pressure. And like I said earlier, I felt like Rassie kind of let the opportunity go today to keep the momentum going after Peterson went out, and he got bogged down and he didn't put away the loose deliveries. And I have been someone who has been calling for Bedingham on Twitter. I haven't really talked about him here. I think I have called for him a few times on Twitter. I think the thing about him is not only did he score that 1,000 runs for Durham, averaging 60, and also obviously he's done well here. So he did well before he went to England. I was talking about him at how he was doing at the Cobras before he went to England. The thing is, he has a high strike rate. And I know a strike rate is not a major thing in tests, but there is a warrant for playing a guy with a strike rate of around 70. I think his strike rate of his career is about 60, but this season in domestic cricket, he's striking at about 75. And there definitely it's warranted to be able to have a guy in the middle order who puts the pressure back on the bowlers. We had that in Quinney coming in lower down the order, but we don't have him anymore. So I feel like somebody like Bedingham, who has a good technique, but will absolutely try and dominate the bowlers once he's in and will put any loose delivery away, is the type of player we need. Now, I'm not saying he's going to come in and immediately strike like 100 of 120 balls, but it's the type of player I would invest in that middle order. And Rossi is 32 now, and he hasn't really made that step, that next step in tests yet. It looks like he's going forward in that Wanderers test, and then he takes a step back again. And it's good not losing your wicket, but as I said earlier, getting bogged down, just playing around, hoping to survive, not really putting the pressure back on the bowlers, it's going to be counterproductive. I mean, so I feel like Bellingham is a good call. I do agree with Ashwan, and I agree with Aaron. I have talked about him in the past, and I feel somebody like him, somebody like Lewis Deploy, somebody in that line. Lewis Deploy might not be there in first class cricket just yet. He might be somebody you could look for in the 50 over format. But Bellingham, in terms of the first class, I think is probably that sort of player we can do with. Maybe for right now, maybe that player is Rickleton. Maybe you don't say, like we did with Reina, he's just a backup keeper. Maybe you say, no, this guy is averaging 50, playing at the Wanderers on a moving deck. He might be the guy you try and use it for, because he's playing at 3-4 for the Lions now. He's not opening anymore. So maybe he's the guy who comes into that middle order. Maybe you take a punt. You say, okay, the last few guys we've tried early, Peterson and Janssen, we've given an opportunity. They've come out. Well, maybe we try both Arvey and Rickleton. Maybe we make a straight swap. I don't know. It's a possibility. I don't see them going with that. But in terms of options, that is there. And I would get Bellingham into the squad, at least. Let him get that experience. We had Verena in the squad for a few series. He didn't play. He's getting his opportunity now. We had Peterson in the squad for the Sri Lanka series. He went to Pakistan and then finally got the opportunity in West Indies. So maybe the same thing needs to happen with Bellingham. So I would say get him in there. Maybe he impresses the coaching staff in the nets like Janssen impressed them, because Janssen doesn't have a lot of first-class experience, but he impressed them enough to pick him at Supersport Park. Maybe Bellingham impresses them enough to give him an opportunity in that middle order. So, yeah.
Cool. Guys, let's have your final say. My battery's about to die because I was...
Is it, or do you just want to watch the Africa Cup of Nations? What's it really, Khalid? I know it's the second half of Morocco versus Comoros. Malawi won, Zimbabwe won as well. I can't wait to watch the second half.
I don't watch F1.
Where are Bafana?
We didn't make it. So why must I watch F1?
Because it's sport. Can I just clear something up in the comments, by the way, Khalid? It is just quick.
Yes.
People asking about Les Deploy playing in England for Derbyshire on an EU passport. Basically, that's how it works. If you have a European passport, you're allowed to register in England as a domestic player, so you don't count as an overseas. So Leus has been basically doing that for years. There's quite a few who do that, actually. I mean, David Bedingham himself, he has an English passport, so he has an ancestral visa. That's how he plays in domestic cricket without being an overseas. But yeah, just hope that clears that up. He has been good for Derbyshire. I don't think he's ready to make the step up, and I like Leus, and it pains me to say that, but honestly, he has been very, very good in county cricket. And David Bedingham, I love the fact that we mention him. You know, I've been wanting to mention his name for absolutely ages. I spent all summer literally review show after review show after review show. Didn't score too many against Warwickshire. Might have just had Ollie Stone and Liam Norwell. But yeah, had an excellent season, and definitely one to watch out for in the future.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about David Bedingham for quite some time. We interviewed him actually a couple of times on the channel, so you guys can check that out. But I'll try to get him on again and have a chat with him again, especially after his performance recently. So, Aditya, let's get your thoughts, and then Werner, take us home. Oh shit, Aaron as well has to take us home. Sorry. So it's Aditya, Werner, then Aaron.
Well, again, I guess just a cap of congratulations to South Africa. It was a brilliant series victory, a riveting test series, and a great advertisement for test cricket in South Africa. To beat the number one team in the world in such comprehensive fashion is testament to the quality in the country, the quality of the team, and the character of the team. For Indian fans, it's painful right now, but I suppose tomorrow morning the team is going to take a new direction, and hopefully the lessons from this tour will be learned, we'll come back stronger, and by the time,
Another 29 years to try again. Oh.
well,
Not joking.
I don't know about that, brother. It's still wearing that
Nah.
India jersey. But yeah, who knows? The next tour is South Africa. India may be able to produce some magic, and we can only hope.
Can someone please clip that for future use when India do beat South Africa? We need that for future. Please, someone just clip it, screen record it, whatever. We need that. In particular, me, I need that. But yeah, go on, Werner.
That was a joke. Come on.
Yeah. Congratulations again for South Africa, and I think it gives a lot of us some hope again for our test team, because I've been feeling a bit better about our T20 team after the World Cup, and I feel our ODI team is rebuilding with Janeman Malan as opener. I think we are making some progress there, but I thought we were still way behind in the test arena. But I think this series definitely gives me, and I think a lot of people out there, some hope again, and great to see the emergence of Keegan Peterson and Janssen, and just another shout out to Bavuma, who I think won't be talked about enough. Before the series started, I said he needed to step up as a senior guy. He has Tony de Zorzi maybe breathing down his neck. We talked about that a few times. I think he really, really did step up. People might look back and say, no, he still only has 1 century, but look at how he played in the series. Look at how he's played in the last year. He's probably averaged the most, averaging about 50, over 50 now. So really, really big shout out to Temba. I was very happy watching him. I enjoyed it. I love the way he took the responsibility, and long may it continue. I hope he takes that same kind of responsibility going into the New Zealand series. Maybe there will be a debutant or two coming in, maybe guide them as well. So yeah, happy about the series. Chuffed that we still have this record. Chuffed that we can still proudly hold on to that for a few more years. We'll see if that changes at some time. But yeah, looking forward to the ODI series, where I think India will come at us very hard, and where I also feel we need to rest Rabada again for a few matches. So, but we'll talk about that closer to the game.
Absolutely, Werner. Yeah, just echoing that again. Congratulations to the Proteas. They'll be partying in the streets of Pretoria, Johannesburg, Cape Town, Polokwane, all over the country tonight, and as you should be. It has been an absolute
COVID.
Oh, are you still in curfew?
No. We're not in curfew anymore. But I hope they don't go out partying, because I don't want the COVID to spread.
Yeah, maybe don't do that. Maybe do it when things are a bit more normal. But aside from the ODIs, aside from this test series as well, just one more thing. The Under-19 World Cup has gotten underway today. India versus South Africa tomorrow. South Africa and India actually have got 2 very, very good sides. As of England, Sri Lanka look very good. Bangladesh, that is going to be a really, really scintillating tournament. Cannot wait to see how that unfolds in the West Indies over the next couple of weeks. So, yeah, just good luck to all of the teams competing in that. We're witnessing the future unfold before our eyes. And, in a few years' time, we'll probably be talking about some of these guys. Maybe, who knows, a Deval Brevis, for example. Could be mentioning him at some point. Just going to put a name out there for future reference. Jacob Bethel for England as well. But yeah, honestly, looking forward to that. Had an absolute blast covering the test series, and yeah, fingers crossed for the South Africa fans. You can see a bit of an uptick when it comes to the test team. Hopefully this isn't a false dawn, shall we say, and this is the start of many, many more good things to come.
Yeah, we'll probably will do some shows as well on S19 if it fits into the schedule. So, Aaron, please try and as your best to because I know you know a lot more about the players from other countries than I do. So it would really help out a lot for me to learn some of that. I'm obviously going to watch as many games as possible. We obviously have the ODI series around the corner now, and then New Zealand. So things are getting hectic. And the Women's World Cup is also going to happen very soon too. So there's loads of cricket that we're going to be covering on Cricket Fanatics Mag.
Can't believe Danae is ate by slipping on wet tiles.
I know.
Or a wet floor. Man, that's a major blow.
It's a massive blow.
Holly, can I just mention one more thing about the Under-19 World Cup? Because I did want to mention this guy, Australian, right? Nivatan Radhakrishnan. I'm not sure if any of you know him. That might not be a household name just yet. This guy's an ambidextrous spin bowler. He's like Gregory Maklakwana in South Africa's cricket. It's insane. He took a 3 for today. Honestly, he's a really, really good talent. So remember his name as well. I forgot to mention him. I mentioned Jacob Bethel. I mentioned Tom Prest from England, Devolt Brevis, and yeah, Nivertan as well. Very, very good players.
I've never watched a full under-19 World Cup. And I'm going to try to follow as much as I can from this one because it's exciting. Just the fact that you see somebody and then in 2 years' time, like, oh wait, I saw this guy at the under-19 World Cup. I mean, you always hear Ian Bishop or Sir Ian Bishop reference somebody, and you're like, who? And it's like, yeah, I saw that kid at the under-19 World Cup. I was saying then this guy's gonna be big, like he did with Rabada and Markram and whoever came through the system. So it's a good place to spot talent.
Yeah, and that's why I enjoy normally going to Kaimajola weeks, Cubs weeks, etc. But now with the bubbles, yeah, not so easy for me to do that this time around. I used to love that. I used to look forward to that. It was always at the end of the year, so it was something to look forward to always. Unfortunately, I haven't had the opportunity to do so. Guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. Aditya, thanks a lot for all the hard work you've done throughout the series as well. I really enjoyed covering the series with you, and on to the next one. We have ODI series. I think we're gonna. It's gonna be a tough one. I'm going to just be saying that it's not important because it doesn't count for points. So I'm just gonna go with that narrative, just to protect myself from any defeats if it comes our way. Because the last time around it was a 2-1 victory by South Africa, and then we got slaughtered in the ODI. So I hope that doesn't happen this time around.
Does it now
at least
count?
only half the amount of games then, at least.
I saw a few places saying it does count for the Super League, so I'm really confused at this stage.
Oh, is it? Oh, is it?
I'm really
No,
confused.
they clarified. I think Sipokazi clarified at the beginning of the tour.
Okay, great. Because then I read no, it's not, and then I read yes, it is, and then I'm like, what is it now? Because it really matters for us right now. Because if it doesn't, that means race Rabada, give the youngsters a chance to play.
Well, Aditya, what did Sipokazi say again? I completely forgot.
I think like right before the test tour, when the schedule was announced, I think at that time she clarified that that the ODI series will not contribute to Super League points.
That's what I remember from what you guys have said as well. Werner, you normally up it when it comes to the news, so I love that. So we will confirm it obviously when we do our previews for the ODI series, which will happen very soon. But guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to smash the like button, comment, share, subscribe. Obviously, click that notification bell for all future videos as well. That's also 100% free. But also, don't forget to subscribe to Cricket Fanatics Magazine monthly. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every single month. Link is in the description, including the latest issue. So go ahead and do that. We are working on the next issue as we speak. Guys are writing articles actually as we speak. So thanks a lot for tuning in, everybody. And yeah, I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. Because I mean, I know from Cape Town's perspective, it's so hot and people are going to be at the beaches. It's going to be flooding. I mean, one of my friends actually messaged me now to say they're going to the beach now, and it's 6 o'clock in the evening. It was 6 o'clock in the evening when they told me that. So nice to have sunset late in South Africa, in Cape Town. So that's great.
Yeah, all right. Stop rubbing it in. It's like 4 degrees there in England.
Lucky to have the beach in Cape Town. Joburg doesn't even have the beach. They don't have water there. But yeah,
I don't think any of us is in Joburg, so it's all right.
Yeah.
I mean,
that was a referral to a poor the guys.
That was
a referral to a poor the guys. Yeah. Guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. We'll see you guys very, very soon. Take care, everybody, and we'll see you Sunday evening for the podcast show. Take care.